Hey everyone, thanks for learning to play games. My name is Lance, and in today's video I want to teach you how to play Cartographer Heroes. This is a new one by Thunderworks Games. It is a 1 to 100 player game that takes roughly 30 to 45 minutes to play and is a competitive game where each of the players is drawing on their own board, trying to maximize that board and get the most points that they possibly can. At the end of 4 seasons, the player that has the most points will be the winner of the game. So in this video I'm going to teach you how to play, starting with components, setup, player turns, and endgame scoring. As always, if you find these videos helpful, if you like what I do, please consider hitting that like button and subscribe to my channel. It's one of the easiest ways you can support channels like mine so we can continue to grow and produce this content. If you want to stay in on all my videos, also consider ringing that bell so notifications anytime I release new stuff. Also, let me know now in the comments down below if there's any other videos you'd like to see around this one, or if you have any other requests. I'm always open to hearing from everybody, and I love talking with you in the comments down below. So drop me a comment, let me know how I'm doing, let me know if you have any other requests, and let's go ahead and head to the table, and I'll teach you how to play. There are 6 different decks of cards included in the game, and I want to go through each one of them. The first are the Seasons cards, which are the 4 different seasons players will be playing throughout the game, which are Spring, Summer, Fall, and Winter. At the top left corner of each one of these seasons will be the time thresholds. When that is equal or exceeded, then that season will come to an end, and the players will enter a scoring step. We'll consult the 2 different edicts and gain points for those for that season. Next, I want to go over a couple of the other decks together. The first are the edict cards, and this deck is going to contain 4 cards, 1 card for each of the letters A, B, C, and D. Next, you're going to have your scoring deck, and this is going to be broken down into 4 mini decks based on their backs, as you'll separate each one into its own little mini deck. From there, you'll shuffle it up and deal 1 card from that deck, and then you'll randomize that card and place it under one of the edicts. Each one of these cards will list the name of that card, an image of its points and how you'll gain points for it, and a description of that. For example, with this card here, you're going to earn 2 reputation stars for each forest space in the longest unbroken column of forest spaces. So for example, with this one, if this was my longest column, I would receive 2 points for each of those forest spaces in that column. And each one of them works a little bit differently. The next deck of cards we're going to look at are the Explore cards, and these are the cards that you're going to reveal throughout each one of the seasons to start drawing on your map. Each one of these cards is going to list a time on it, which is going to be added up at the end of each one of the sequences, and if this total value between all of the Explore cards out equals or exceeds the season limit on the season card, then that season is over and the players will go into a scoring phase. Again, I'm going to cover this a little bit more later. Then each one of these cards is going to list a name on the card and a couple of 1 or more of the different types of terrain. And I'll go over those a little bit later as well. And then it's going to show you a sequence that you can draw on your board in one of these 2 choices. Other ones will only provide you with 1 choice, but might give you a couple of different options in the different sequences you can build, with some of them even granting a coin if you select that. So if I selected this 2 square piece to put some villages, then I would receive a coin, versus if I choose this one, then I would not receive a coin, but it's going to cover more area. And then again, this one gives you a couple different choices, but then just a single way to build them. The next deck of cards are the ambush cards, and these are going to be adding enemies to your opponent's boards. Each one of these cards will have a symbol at the top corner, and these will only be used in solo games. Then you'll have the name of that enemy, which direction you're going to pass your board to your opponent, either to your clockwise or counterclockwise, the symbol you're going to be drawing on your opponent's board, and the effect that that's going to have, either at the end of each scoring phase or during when you resolve that drawing step. And I'll go over these more a little bit later in the video. The other type of card that is going to be added to the Explore decks, and the final deck of cards you're going to have, are the Hero cards. Each one of these, again, will list the name of that hero and where the sequence you're going to build it in. So each hero will have a single square that they're going to take up, and then they'll have a certain number of squares with these symbols in it that they're going to attack. So for example, with this particular hero, you want to put him close to a monster that is orthogonal to him so that he can defeat that. So any space that he is placed in, he will attack all of the spaces around it. Other particular heroes will attack different spaces. For example, with this one here, this space is not affected, but then the 3 after that are going to be attacked. So these will be one of the ways you can defeat monsters that are on your board. And again, I will cover this more in detail during the game. The final thing I want to go over are the boards themselves. So each one is going to be double-sided, and at the beginning of the game during setup, the players will collectively choose which side they want to use, whether it is the wilderness side or the wasteland side. Each one of these boards at the top will have a place where the players can place their name, their title, and if they want to, they can create their own family crest as well. Then the middle of the board is going to be the playing area where you're going to be drawing all your different train types to try to gain points throughout the game. Underneath that is going to be your spot where you're going to be placing all your coins or moving or marking them off as you collect them. And then you'll have your 4 scoring seasons. Each one of these you'll gain points for the 2 different edicts of that season, your current number of coins, and any negative points for monsters that are active in your areas. At the end here is also going to be a final score where you'll total up all of these, and the player that has the most will be the winner. Then you'll have your main playing area, and there's a couple of different spaces you're going to find on here. There's going to be a number of filled spaces, which are going to be considered mountain spaces, wasteland spaces, and then any space that has terrain in it that you've already drawn. You'll also notice that there are ruin spaces on both sides. These are only going to be used if you're playing with Cartographer heroes and the original Cartographer. Otherwise, if you're just playing with heroes, these are considered empty spaces for all purposes. Now, throughout the game, you're going to be drawing different terrain types on your board. The only limitations to this is you cannot place them on a filled space. Again, any space that has mountains, wastelands, or another terrain type already. And you cannot place them outside of your board. So I could not draw this pattern if it was outside of my board. Other than that, you can place it anywhere you want to on your board, flipping it or rotating it any way you want so that it fits on there. And I'll cover this more during that step. Now let's move into setup. So give each player a pencil and a brand new sheet. From there, then you're going to choose which side of the sheet you want to play on. And then the players are going to fill out their information, including their name, their title, and if they want to have a family crest. Then you're going to move into the rest of setup. So then you can grab the rest of the cards you're going to need for this. So first off, you can grab the edicts and place those out in the middle of the table from A to D. Next, you can go ahead and grab the season cards. Make sure that they are stacked so that spring is on top of summer, which is on top of fall, which is on top of winter. And then you can place that off to the side. All right, so next then you want to grab the scoring cards, separate them into their 4 different stacks based on their background color, shuffle each of those stacks, and randomly deal 1 to each one of the edicts. If this is your very first game, there is a recommended set of 4 that you want to use, which is the Dwarven Holds, Ulam's Wallow, Gnomish Colony, and the Fenlost Thicket. From there, the rest of the cards can be returned to the box as you won't use those for this game. Then you want to grab the Explorer cards, the Hero cards, and the Ambush cards. Keep these in separate stacks. With the Heroes and the Ambush cards, go ahead and shuffle up each one of those sets and place it off to the side. Next, you're going to grab your Explorer deck and shuffle it up. Once you have it shuffled, then you're going to grab the top hero card and ambush cards from their decks and shuffle that up again. Once you have that shuffled, you're going to place that at the top of the board close to the current season. Cartographer Heroes is played over 4 seasons. Each season is going to consist of an undefined number of turns that will continue going until the number of Explorer cards, their points, is equal to the season threshold. Each one of the turns is going to consist of 3 phases that the players are going to continue to do in order until the end of that season. And this, at the end of each season, you're going to enter into a scoring phase where all the players are going to score up all their points, and then you'll move on to the next season. This is going to continue until you've scored for the final season, which is winter. At that point, the player that has the most points will be the winner of the game. So from here, we're going to move into each one of those phases. The first phase in each turn is the Explorer phase. During this phase, you're going to draw the top card of the Explorer deck and place it in the center of the board underneath the current season in a column. If this is not the first card drawn, then you're going to place the next card on top of that card so that it covers everything except for the time. So for example, with this one, if we have the Woodland Crossings already out and we're in the Explorer phase, we're going to place this card on top of that one so that it covers up everything except for the time marker. Moving into the draw phase now, each player is going to be able to simultaneously do this by selecting one of the available train types if there are multiples available, and one of the available shapes if there are also multiples available of that. and then they're going to draw that somewhere on their board. Now they can place it anywhere on their board that is legal. They don't have to connect it to other shapes they've previously drawn. They cannot draw it over mountains, wastelands, or spaces that already have a terrain type in them. Unless you're playing with the original cartographers as well, ruins count as empty spaces, so you can freely place your shape anywhere you want on that board. Now, another important thing with the shape is that you can flip it and even rotate it any way you want to so that it fits on your board. So from there, let's go ahead and say, for example, that I wish to place that one here. So you can outline it, you can draw it however you want, and then I'm going to go ahead and fill this in with trees. So I'll be right back as I selected my woodlands, or the trees, the forests, to fill this. Now, for whatever reason, if you're unable to draw your shape legally anywhere on the board, you can choose to instead draw a 1x1 square and choose any terrain type that you want to, except for mountains. The other important thing is if you fill in all 4 squares adjacent to a mountain, you'll notice that there's a coin symbol on there, which means you'll gain a coin and you get to fill it in on its slot. Once all players have completed drawing their shape, then we're ready to move into the final phase of the turn, which is the check phase. During this phase, you're going to consult the current season to find out what its time threshold is. Then you're going to add up all of the timestamps on all of the cards in the column. If that is equal to or greater than the current season, then the season has ended and we'll move into a scoring step. If it is not, then you're ready to move back into another Explore step where you're going to reveal the next card in the Explore stack. Now that we've covered the 3 phases of a turn, there's a couple of additional things I want to cover. The first is ambush cards. So if you draw a card and it happens to be an ambush card, first you're going to place it in the center of the table so that all players can see it. And then you're going to pass your card to the player in the order in which it's showing, which is either going to be clockwise or counterclockwise. With the zombie plague, it is counterclockwise, so I pass mine to the next player, and then that player would pass me their card. Then once each player has their opponent's card, then you're going to consult the ambush card and determine what you're going to have to draw in there. So with this one, I'm going to draw a single 1x1 square and place a Z in it. Now again, this has to be a legally placed square, so you have to do it somewhere on the board. It cannot be in a filled space, which again is going to be a space that has terrain, a mountain, or wasteland. So let's say, for example, that I place the zombie symbol here. So I'll put the Z, and you can even draw a little monster if you want to. Once you've completed that, then you'll pass this back to your opponents. Now, with these cards, you want to leave that out if it has a lasting effect on it. If not, you can return it to the box. The next type of card I want to look at are hero cards. So if you happen to draw a hero card, then each player is going to get to draw that hero anywhere on the board again, and then it'll have an attack pattern. If any monster falls within that attack pattern, it's destroyed. And then for the rest of the game, if there's ever a monster that is drawn in that attack pattern, it'll also be destroyed. Now with the hero, again, you have to place it in a legal space that is open and not a filled space. So let's go ahead and say, for example, that I place my hero here. And then each one of these spaces is going to receive that star, and the monster space will be destroyed, so I'm going to put a large X through it, which means that it's destroyed. So that monster will not have an effect for the rest of the game. Now, another important thing to point out with destroyed spaces is that they can also be destroyed, or a space can be destroyed that it does not have a piece of terrain in it. At that point, that is considered a filled space for the rest of the game, so you cannot place terrain in a destroyed space. Once all players have completed this, then the hero card can be returned to the game box, as you won't need it for the rest of this game. Now, once your timestamps reach the time threshold on your current season, that season is going to come to an end. So I went ahead and moved forward a little bit to show you how this works. So from this point, then you're going to move into the scoring step of that season. You're going to consult your current season and check the 2 edicts that are attached to that. You're going to gain points for that. So first off, each season at the bottom here will have scoring steps for the different edicts, and those are even outlined at the bottom here. So the first edict, we're going to get 2 points for our longest column of trees. So for example, with mine, my column is here for the longest one that's uninterrupted. So I'm going to get 2 points for each one of those squares for a total of 8 points. Next, I'm going to check my other one here, which is 4 houses. If I have 4 houses in a set, then I will receive 6 points for that. So I have another 6 there. Finally, I have 3 coins. I'm going to receive 3 coins for this season. And then if I have any monsters that have not been destroyed, for each open space that is adjacent to that monster, I'm going to receive a -1. So for example, with the zombie, if it had not been destroyed, I would receive -4 points. But since it is, I have 0 points. Then I'm going to add this up. So I have 8 and 6 for 14 plus 3 is 17. So I have received 17 points for this season, and then I'm ready to move into the next season unless this is winter. You also want to consult any ambush cards if they have any lasting effects. For example, the zombie, if it had not been destroyed, then I'd have to draw a zombie in each open space adjacent to that one, so it's going to continue to expand throughout the game. To start a new season, you're going to discard the top card of the current season. Then you're going to gather up all of these cards as well as any cards remaining in that stack. You'll add an additional ambush card to that and a hero card to that stack. From there, then you can shuffle those up and place that out, and I'm ready to move into the next turn, starting with the explore phase. Again, at this point, this is going to continue going until you have completed all 4 seasons and scored 4 times, 1 for each of the seasons. Then you're going to get your total by adding all 4 of those up, and the player that has the most points at the end will be the winner of the game. Well, I hope you found this video helpful. If you have any questions or comments, please post those in the comment section below, and I'll do my best to answer them. And until next time, I'll see you later.